My mother came here when she was 22. She had finished her schooling back home in Sierra Leone, West Africa, and wanted to, make a better life for herself. And without that, we wouldn't have much of anything. She knew that she wanted more than what she had, that she went through a lot of things growing up that she always tells us she didn't want us to have to deal with. I'm very appreciative for that. I think a lot of the discipline we get is from how far she came from where she grew up to what she has now, and being in America and having a job and your car and your house and all of those things. Our mothers kept us connected to Sierra Leone in, I'd say, many ways, from growing up bilingual, knowing how to speak Creole, and talking to all of our cousins, aunts, and uncles and things of that nature, and learning how to cook some of our foods that we make back home, eating the cuisine, the music, everything. We've gone back and visited. We're aware of what's going on back home. Politics is a big deal, so staying abreast of what's happening in the current political landscape. There are a lot of things I'd like to see happen back home in Sierra Leone, and I guess the inspiration comes from our family not allowing that culture in us to be kind of dwindled out and fizzled out by being in America. So I know I'd definitely like to go back and kind of change the mindset of people back home. I think a lot of what happens in African nations are getting bogged down by the current status of things, seeing what's going on in other places of the world and feeling as if it's unattainable. So a general change of mindset is something I'm very passionate about, and uplifting the interpersonal communications about people or of people in a certain area, and generally changing the collective psyche to being inspired, passionate, and driven to move forward and achieve different things. I think you can do a lot of things to change infrastructure, and coupled with that needs to be changing of the mindset of people moving forward, or at least a maintenance of it, so that change can happen and that it can be for the betterment of a person in a holistic sense. I think sometimes it can be challenging to stay connected to the place where you hail from, because growing up in America, you have a different culture in you as well as the culture back home, and sometimes that can clash. There'll be biases that you have that don't necessarily mesh with the climate back home, and so sometimes you might just have a different idea of how things can progress or should progress. So you need to check your biases, I feel like, when you're communicating and trying to initiate some sort of action back home. It's not enough to go back with some sort of savior mentality, but a true understanding of what's going on and what the people who are there need and want. And so it'll definitely be a challenge, but I think being aware of it is the first step, and being willing to hear what people have to say, and knowing that sometimes you're going to have to change your own mindset towards a thing is a good first step. I'm very glad that something like ReTurn is happening. It's a great platform to streamline the progression of reintegrating people back home and helping back home, and just kind of building up the culture to begin with. So it's awesome.